Hey Foundations, time to draw a sphere. Let's start off with some notes. Sphere is tricky, and really the only reason being that it's tricky is because it is round and the shading has to wrap around the sphere. So the first bit of notes here is that the value wraps around the highlight. Now the highlight is going to be the lightest part of the sphere, and it's going to be not on the very edge but slightly in because it's round. Even that edge is going to have a little bit of shading, and the value is going to wrap right around that. Next bit of notes, we want smooth value gradations. We want that smooth value gradation throughout the entire sphere because that'll help in making it look round. Unlike the other three, the sphere has only one small point of contact with the table or whatever it's sitting on. I mention that only because in the cube and in the cylinder and even in the cone, which we'll do next, the items are touching the table. So therefore it will allow be touching the table with the entire base of the object. And that will allow for a small line to be evident where it touches the table. For this sphere, it's only one tiny small point. And the final bit of notes is that the shadow for the sphere is ellipse shaped. So it has an elliptical shadow. And we will see that when we draw it, but it's basically the top of the cylinder, same shape. It's the circle when it's viewed in perspective. And it's an ellipse shape underneath the sphere. Now, I have a drawing tool to help me make a perfect circle because I can't draw a perfect circle, and I don't expect you to. So I have a compass here. If you have something at home, that could work. A roll of tape, a cup or a small bowl or something like that, this would work just fine. So I'm going to use the compass here to assist. And make a circle. Now this circle is two-dimensional. We're about to add the shading to make it three-dimensional. Let's first put the shadow in there as well. And it is elliptical shape, and we have our light source obviously coming from the left side like always. And the shadow, it will stick out a little bit on this side. Most of it will be on this side. And the reason it sticks out slightly over here is because there's this side of the sphere which is creating some shadow over there. Now, I did this very light, so I'll make it a little darker. Now I went through the sphere only because I wanted to see if my ellipse shape looked like an ellipse. Sometimes if I don't do this, I have like a line that goes up here and then a line that comes out here, or a line that comes up here and a line that exits over here. So sometimes it just helps for me to see that all in one go. So the highlight of this sphere is going to be approximately right here. So I'm not going to eventually have this be visible. I think I'm going to actually use an eraser to go up to that and erase that so that the value makes the transition and I don't have any lines in there. I am starting on the darker side of the sphere with a 6B pencil. And what I'm going to end up doing here with the shading is it sort of starts with this sort of crescent moon shape. So I'm going to increase the shading here. You're going to see this sort of sliver of the shading start to emerge. And you'll notice that I'm rotating the paper a lot. Rotating the paper does help me in creating some soft transitions of value because you're basically cross-hatching, right? If I'm going this way with hatching and then over here I'm going this way with hatching, you would effectively be cross-hatching. I'm going into some of the other area with some cross-hatching as well. Already starting to press a little lighter as I transition out of the darkest sliver of the shading. And I'm going to use not only cross-hatching but a variety of pencils to assist me in making smooth transitions of gradation. What pencils do I have here? I have my regular pencil. I'm going to strengthen up this dark real quick. So as you see, this is the value wrapping around the sphere. I'm trying to make it look round. Obviously, we're going for three-dimensional here. So all of this value is going to be a very smooth transition all the way around. The entire thing is a gradation. I'm using my regular pencil, just a mechanical pencil. This is a number 2, and it's an HB. If you ever look carefully, it says number 2 HB on it. HB is right in the middle. H and B are of course referring to your graphite hardness or softness, and the higher the number in front of the H, the harder it is and the lighter the line will be. I have a 6H sitting over here. I'm going to be using that for the lightest areas, and the higher the number is on the B and the softer the lead is and the darker the mark will be. And I'm sort of always kind of like pulling out further than I should go, just doing this very lightly. And the reason why I go out that far is because I want to overlap my usage of pencils. Right, so the next pencil I'm going to use is the 4H, and that's going into some of the area of the regular pencil, and it's because I want the two types of pencils to blend really nicely. Now, at no point will I be finger smearing. You'll notice that my fingers will stay clean throughout this whole demonstration. I'm bringing the value over on this side as well, and I'm actually going to take my eraser while I'm at it and lighten up the outline of the sphere on the light side here, because as we have hopefully been making very apparent in this project, outlines are not helpful. Outlines actually make things look flat. We are going for three-dimensional here, so flat is not three-dimensional. Flat is two-dimensional. I'm barely holding on to this pencil. I'm just using these 3 fingers, and that's really because I want the, I don't want to be adding a lot of weight to the pencil because it'll make harder, scratchier lines. I'm actually just kind of building this value up over time. I'm not trying to do this in one shot, like real quick. This is a thing that happens over time, and I'm going into some of the areas that are already shaded and going varying different speeds and directions to assist me with that cross-hatching. Now I'm going to start getting lighter. I want to also erase this area that I marked off as the highlight, only because I really don't want any lines in there. One thing that I think that is required for this is patience. I think that you gotta be able to build this up slowly. If you are trying to go too dark too quickly, you will end up possibly with areas that are, you know, way darker than you had planned. So you gotta take it slow, you gotta build it up. There's no substitute for that patience. I'm literally, like you can see my left hand here is just basically rotating the paper the whole time. And again, the reason being is because I want that cross-hatching to make smooth transitions, but I'm also like, you know, avoiding putting my hand on the picture and getting it all smeared up. It might not even be that apparent, you know, in the video what marks I'm making right now, but I guarantee if you sped this video up, which you're welcome to do at the end if you want to see this in a very quick way, you'll see that it goes, I'm actually adding enough value for it to be a very slow transition. Now I'm going back in with my 4B now, and that 4B pencil I'm using to strengthen up some of the darks. I am putting a little bit of pressure on here. Really, I'm just kind of, you can do a self-check here. What I'm doing is I'm kind of squinting my eyes and I'm looking for any big jumps. I notice that that dark could probably come out a little further, make it a smoother transition. I'm also looking for any areas that look too much of the same value. If there's a big section of medium right in the middle with no transition, that would be a bad thing. Now, you may hear the bell ring shortly because I'm doing this at school and the period's about to end. But I will continue and do the shadow as well. So try to ignore the bell like you usually do. Just kidding. That was a little too dark. I'm actually going to try to lighten that up. I need my kneaded eraser. I'm just lightening that little corner I made that's a little too dark. What am I saying, corner? There's no corners on the sphere. All right, and I'm just trying to transition out of this very light area over here. Again, no finger smearing. It's not necessary when you have good pencil control and a good eye for gradation. Okay, that looks pretty good. Just this one edge here that is bothering me. And I'll be back in 1 second to finish the shadow.